I got a sound check. Hey, everybody. It's not on yet.
Good evening. Thanks for giving us a watch tonight. We're going to get this in before the Redskins kick off against the Chicago Bears.
Why isn't it working?
It'll work. It'll... What are you watching? You need to turn the channel.
Huh? There we are.
All right.
No notification this week because it's not on Tuesday.
You only get Tuesday notifications.
That's all I've ever heard.
What's that?
It's a Tuesday.
All right,
thing.
crank her down, and we'll go ahead and pick it up.
There we go. Got my notification on Monday. I'm going to crank her down.
Probably got all kinds of copyright infringements. T and...
What?
I don't know. Here we go. Welcome, everybody, to Tuesday night. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Ken Marangolo. He's Kevin Ricca.
Happy to be here. Sorry about the
That's
little
all right.
plug-in, but we got a guy to call. You know, he's got a great singing voice,
I can't wait.
and I'm looking forward to it. Another interesting week. Hey, 9 out of 10 WCAC teams won this week. How about that? We were right there. We almost had the clean sweep.
He's Tim Strachan.
I junked out a little bit on high school football. I won't lie. At one point, I had one on my computer, one on my phone, and I was watching a couple other games on my TV at home. It was a fun weekend. Can't wait to talk about it.
90%. I didn't know it was that high. I don't know why I didn't do the math. I was told there would be no math. This is the WCAC Spectacular, where we cover the greatest high school sports conference in the land. Are we going to go straight to the Superfan to lead things off?
I don't see why we wouldn't.
Let's go. Let's bring him in.
Yeah.
Let's bring him in. We're going to talk a little bit good counsel
Bringing in
football.
on a joyous note, I believe.
Yeah.
He's
If
happy.
he doesn't disappoint.
He's in his doomsday garage. Here he is.
Last Friday night, Falcons fly. All of Spalding wonders why. But me, I predicted the score exactly to be 21-7. Good counsel wins 21-7. The Falcons win.
Amazing.
Yeah. A great prediction, a lovely voice, and a tremendous perspective.
Well, I appreciate that, gentlemen, and thanks again for having me back on this week on our Monday edition of the WCAC Spectacular.
Boom.
Thank you for being with us. I was going to say Senor already,
Yeah,
but
no.
I'm cutting it out.
Yeah, cut it out.
I'm just taking it all the way out.
Just Dr. Superfan.
Uncle Doctor Superfan.
That dude.
Talk to us about the Falcons. That was an awesome Washington versus Baltimore matchup. What do you think?
It was, and again, good counsel coming from the powerhouse that they played out.
Uh-oh.
Holding was undefeated, had been scoring a lot of points, running up a lot of yards through the air and through the ground, and they did have some impressive players. But good counsel was ready for them, and it was really quite a defensive matchup going back and forth. Good counsel got an early lead, 7-0. Savion Wilkerson took a counter play behind Landon Tengwall and took it around the edge and sprinted about 50 yards. And when he gets in the open field, he really can show some speed. He outran the whole defense at that point. But Spalding fought back, and they had some good opportunities. They had some interceptions that they could just not turn into points. One of their interceptions, they returned to the 1 yard line of good counsel. Whoa. On the next play, Mitchell Melton, number 17, came through on a blitz, hit their tailback as he was getting the ball. And honestly, it's the hardest hit that I have seen on film since Jonathan Allen when he played at Stonebridge. I had the displeasure of coaching against that guy when he was at Stonebridge.
He didn't hit you that
current
night,
Redskin.
That wasn't you on the sideline.
And Mitchell Melton had a huge game.
That's awesome.
He had that big play, which was a TFL, and from that point, that Spalding drive just went backwards. They missed 2 field goals early.
Ooh.
At halftime, it ended up being 14-7, but good counsel's second touchdown was the result of Mitchell Melton on a sack, coming off the edge, punches the ball free right into the hands of the other outside backer, Ronald McCorns, who catches it in stride and returns it for a touchdown.
Nice little assist.
So he was really everywhere on the field. Now, I like Spalding's quarterback, and hats off to Spalding. They have a great facility. They have a huge scoreboard that's right in the middle of the stadium. It's really easy to see. They got a lot of info on there. And like I said, they've got some good players. And their quarterback, I like their quarterback. He had a really quick release. He was trying to get the ball out there as much as he could. They were just outmatched with Good Counsel's defense. I think he's probably going to be seeing number 17 in his nightmares for the rest of his life. But it wasn't just Mitchell Melton. Chris Jenkins is a kid, number 18, that's been talked about on this show before, too. He is awesome. Number 8, Jalen McNair, one of the famous McNairs, I'm sure, of the football fame. He was all over the place, making some huge hits.
Well, those 3 guys you're talking about are going to Boston College,
Harold
Ohio
Miles,
State, and
senior
Michigan.
inside linebacker, at number 4. He is just a massive presence in the middle of the field. And late in the game, Spalding was trying to drive again. Harold Miles is sitting in the middle, mirroring the quarterback, ends up picking one off that Good Counsel took down to the Spalding 20. Next play from scrimmage, Lee J. Hacker took it around the left side for 20 yards for a touchdown, and the final score ended up being 21-7, like I said.
Hey, so Tim, it looks like the Good Counsel team is really developing a strong defensive identity. I mean, they are kind of picking up in some
Sorry,
cases.
I lost you there for a second. Sorry about that.
No problem. Are you guys back?
Hang on, Tim. Hang on. This defense is getting offensive, is what we're talking about.
Well, we were talking
to
about
the opponent.
The identity of Good Counsel is really turning defensive, and for good reason, because they have just studs on that side of the ball. Their ability to win these games, I don't know if you call low scoring. 21 points is you can make 21 points.
Seven's low,
but 7's low. They give up 7 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah.
So I guess, is that what you expect to see when Good Counsel faces WCAC competition? Is their ability to keep the other guys out of the end zone?
Absolutely. And I mean this wholeheartedly, not trying to play favorites here. I think they have one of the best defenses I've seen in the area in a long time. The only other team, of course, that's going to vie with them is the St. John's Cadets and that defensive crew. But Good Counsel is right there, and they've played some top competition and proven that they have the ability to shut people down. And again, this week, I mean, that offense was averaging, 460 yards a game.
50
they
plus
had 214 yards this past week. And Good Counsel just has so much speed. They're big, they're fast, they're mean. They fly to the football, and they hit. I was really impressed. I know Mitchell Melton is going to Ohio State, but I was really impressed. I mean, he's not hanging his hat on just showing up there next year and playing. We're definitely going to see him on Saturdays next year, going into the next couple of years, and he's going to be playing on Sundays. I don't see any reason why a guy like that with that size and that ability, if he develops, he's going to be playing in the pros one of these days.
Well, I'll tell you who's going to be doing professional analysis for high school sport. When everyone finally gets it, that you can't just have a take on a high school football game. You also have to write a song, go into your garage 5 hours before
Jeff Clay's got to step up his
game time.
For the Gonzaga.
You have to predict the score
You have to
accurately,
predict the score
days in advance.
Convince your whole family that this is actually more important than anything else going on inside the house on a Tuesday and now on Monday. So you're doing some amazing things in the bunker, and we just want to tip our hat to you, sir.
Well, I appreciate that, gentlemen. And like I said, and I've said many times, it's my pleasure, and it's great to be able to follow, my former team. And it's great to see them invest so much in their football program. And again, I just, when I see those guys running around on that field, I am just impressed with the athletes that they have put together. Coach Stefanelli and his staff has done a fantastic job with bringing in players. Because, as every coach knows, it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Johnnies and Joes. And you got to have those guys out there that can do something. I don't care what plays you call up. If you don't have guys that can execute, you're not going to win.
That's right.
And they have done that, and they've followed suit with the entire league. People are really bringing in high quality players, and it's put the WCAC. We've always been on the map, but it's really put us in the national spotlight with not just DeMatha, which was the case for a long time. It was always DeMatha. Basketball and football, had national attention. Now a lot of other teams are getting national attention, and it's very exciting, but it's very due because the players are there and the talent is there, and it is fantastic football. I'm telling you, these hits these guys were laying out. I didn't want to be in there taking that right now, I can tell you.
Well, we look forward to hearing back from you next Tuesday after another Good Counsel game. Who do you guys have this week?
We have Friendship Collegiate.
All right.
Mike Hunter and those guys, my man.
Which is the charter school from D.C., as we know, and they're coming into this game 3-1. Their one loss is against North Allegheny, which is a Pittsburgh team that's been a power over the years. That's their one loss. Yeah. But they have 3 wins against D.C. inter-high teams, Wilson, Ballou, and Woodson.
It's now DCSAA. I know we're dating ourselves, calling it the inter-high, because that's what was referred to when we played. But the DCSAA is what they have 3 wins over. And Mike Hunter, Tim, you'll remember my former teammate at Catholic University has done a tremendous job. What a leader of men. What a great person, first and foremost, who also happens to be a hell of a football coach.
Well, we're looking forward to an exciting game, but I have to say, I think Good Counsel is going to dominate this game. I think they've just played a lot of talented teams. I don't feel the same thing about Friendship Collegiate and their schedule. I know you got to play who's on the schedule, but I think they are going to be overwhelmed by Good Counsel's athleticism Friday night. I've got Good Counsel 35, FC 7.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Tell them to take no more hits on the field, but you keep making those hits from the garage, my man. Keep them coming. We want to talk about this next
Number
week.
1 solid gold hits, my friend. We can't wait to hear what you got for us next week.
I can tell you, I felt like Freddie Mercury tuning up for Live Aid here earlier. So I'm working on it, but I'll do my best. But I'm just going to say with this, hey, GC, let's go to DC. Let's play Friendship C. No, wait, it's at home. I'll see you there. Later.
Awesome. Good Counsel. One of
Tim.
9 WCAC teams to win this weekend. A couple other wins. The McNamara boys took it down at Trinity Episcopal. A team trying to make ends meet. It was a tough road game for the Mustangs. Coach said they were a pretty tired lot. They were pretty beat up going into the game, and they played well and they got the win. Let's talk about the other team from that end of the world, and that's DeMatha. They had a real good week.
Well, they could do no wrong this week against St. Ignatius out of Ohio. Perennially one of the better teams coming out of Ohio year in, year out, but not this year's team. Not from what I saw in this game. They just didn't really match up to DeMatha, and like I said, everything went right for DeMatha defensively. Or actually, they had a big run off the bat by Marshawn Lloyd. It was like 60-some yards that got him on the board. Then they immediately got a turnover on defense, got the ball back. And Bangura was the next guy up who had a big play. I mean, the running backs for DeMatha they just keep bringing them in. Even when they were up 35-0, at one point they were bringing in a sophomore who really didn't get a lot of play. And boy, did he look good. Malachi Anthony, once again, I think once things go well for DeMatha offensively in the run game and they can play from the lead, they're a very dangerous team. And then it brings that defense up, and then Malachi Anthony can start throwing the ball down to Josh Dodd. Had another big reception, pass and catch there for a touchdown. So right now, things are going really well for DeMatha. They've kind of gotten a groove, they've gotten a rhythm. And
only one loss, right?
Yeah, that's right. Let's see if they can keep it going. But really impressive win against what normally is a very good program out of St. Ignatius. But 42-0 was the final.
Top 25 team in the country heading in.
They were at the beginning of the season.
They were before this game.
And maybe
they jumped in after their W.
Maybe they've lost some guys or something, but they just didn't have it. And it's tough in high school. It's tough to go on the road in the pros, much less in high school. So you never know what all those variables were. Yeah. But the Stags rolled, man. They were going, and when they get going, I don't know if there's going to be anybody's going to have a hard time stopping them if they get things going like they did on Saturday.
Well, what we talked about to you is when DeMatha has the lead, you better hold on to your hat. You better tighten your chin strap because you know exactly what's coming.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's coming right at you.
Bill
and
McGregor
it's not
football
going
is
to
what
stop.
you're gonna get.
Yeah, you're going to get
That's
hit.
what you're getting
gonna
right
get
now. That's
pounded.
what
You're
I've
going to
been
get
seeing.
pounded, and it's going to happen.
Yep.
So I think most coaches in this conference, they want to jump out on top of those Stags a little bit because you don't want to get down 14-0 because then the hammer's
Here
coming.
comes the punishment.
And that's what it is. And
It's hard-nosed
and
football.
they've been great at that since Bill McGregor's first game.
That's correct.
And last week was his last one, and nothing's changed in the meantime.
It'll be
That's a
fun to
fact.
watch that October 19th tilt at Gonzaga with DeMatha coming to town. Because
I can't wait, man.
DeMatha can get out in front, and Gonzaga doesn't mind, or they don't seem to mind going down early. They care what happens in the fourth quarter and where they finish. That's going to be an awesome matchup. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. We had a huge matchup in the WCAC on Saturday as the IMG Academy finally, after 2 years of hurricane-related postponements or cancellations.
Craziness.
Craziness.
Same weekend, 2 years in a row.
And finally, IMG was able to make their way to D.C. Unlike some of the other teams that came up, they came up like the day before, a very professional up and back. I believe they even flew home that night, which I guess is not that unheard of. But they got off the bus pretty impressively. I mean, it's a big boys, bunch of guys going. I think what we say every starter going to Power
Every
5.
offensive and defensive starter has a Power 5 has a commitment or an offer to a Power 5 school.
Wow.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, and we've all had a chance to be up close and personal on the NFL field. On that field, again, St. John's hosting IMG. When you see the starters versus the starters standing on the sidelines, it was impressive. It did not look like high school football from that standpoint.
It didn't sound like it.
No.
Tim was talking about some hard hitting going on in that Council Spalding game, and obviously there was. What I saw was as physical play as I've seen at the high school level. I'm not going to say it's any more or less. I'm just saying these boys on both sides took it to that level. It was no place for the faint of heart. There was people getting stuck left and right. There was collisions happening that you could echo all through Rock Creek Park and up and down the jogging trails. Not that I know where those are, but I know that they're located.
They're
located right across
someone
the
told
street
you they're there
from the
somewhere.
football field. Yes, I understand that on a map. I've seen it.
And the yapping, which I don't know. Some people like it, some people don't. It's not being litigated out of the game. We're talking about 6'4", 6'5" beasts on both sides, not just beating each other up during the whistles, but they're letting each other have it in between the echoes of the whistles. And I was on the sideline once, and I heard, what was it, 97? The guy who literally looks like he's everyone's great-grandfather, the defensive line for IMG. He was just letting everybody know about it, and I almost took a couple steps back. I'm like, hey, I hope he's not. Oh, who doesn't think I'm part of anything? I didn't say anything.
As good as the game was overall, I thought St. John's played a heck of a game for
They
3.5 quarters. 3.5 quarters, they were in it. It just felt like at some point IMG, maybe because they've got 10 to 15 more Division I Power 5 guys on the starting 22. They wore St. John's down just a little bit, and those two big runs at the end of the game were just the nail in the coffin. But I thought they played extremely hard.
Soljay played well. I mean, I thought
Soljay kept them in the game, and then Soljay had some other plays that hurt him a little bit, but they certainly would not have been where they were at that 3.5 quarter mark without Soljay.
No chance.
And
No chance.
they need to find a way to get Rakim the ball a little bit more because he's your biggest playmaker. But hey, when you're the number one wide receiver going into a game, the other team knows that. And
Against the number one cornerback in the nation, Elias
they know
Ricks.
that, and
that was a hell of a
they're not going to
matchup.
make
Number
it
12.
easy for you to get the ball into a guy's hands like that.
Yep.
So
that cornerback for IMG, number 12,
Elias Ricks.
Elias Ricks.
Yeah.
He is worth the price of admission because of his athleticism. He is so silky smooth. I'll just give him that because he was getting up closer. I mean, he's huge. He's a huge athlete, and he glides.
Both of their corners. They're known to have the best corner combo in high school football this season.
It's impressive.
And it was obvious. And with the werewolves they had on the D line, and I don't use that term frequently.
No. And how about when he lined up at quarterback?
And the length.
Their defensive end all of a sudden comes in and takes a few snaps, and he didn't throw it at all. But that was, to me, I was like, wait a second, that guy was just getting into the backfield. I thought Colby showed well when he got the ball. Obviously, they gave the ball to Antoine maybe a little earlier than they otherwise would have, because he did get the ball in that first drive, I think, and especially when they got in close.
They didn't get him into the second quarter.
The second quarter, okay.
It was we had to wait a little bit to see the baby bus get started, but. No, but listen, Colby and Baby Bus, they both had 13 carries. Antoine had 79 yards. Colby had 87. They were effective, especially late in the third quarter. It started getting hot out there. Well, it was hot all day.
How much running did Soljay have?
Soljay led the team in rushing. He had over 100 yards rushing.
That's what I thought.
He had 105 yards rushing on 9 carries. Throwing the ball was difficult. They had, like I said, werewolf D ends, werewolf D line.
They had
and
about
long,
5
lean,
knockdowns.
absolute long, lean, and freakishly athletic linebackers outside. It was very tough. They were with 2 stud corners and badass safeties. So,
but it was about 5 knockdowns at the line of scrimmage.
It was very interesting. But I will say this: if you have a block punt and an interception return for a touchdown against a team that's a top 5 caliber team that's well coached,
and a blocked extra point,
and that listen, that's the difference right there.
Yeah.
That's the 15 points right there. That were the difference in the game. St. John's I thought played well. Not to mention they had a blown coverage. They were playing very good defense. And a lot of youth in that secondary, and they'll learn from this. Hey, the one thing I want to say is there's been a lot of people out there and a lot of people at the game and a lot of people on social media talking about and giving this St. John's team a hard time for this schedule. My only words to you people that are saying this, and it's really come out a lot lately, it's the adults saying it, and they haven't conferred with the kids about this, because what the kids love to do is play against the best. And what these kids up in Northwest D.C. on Military Road are doing is playing against the best. No one promised them a 10-0 season. No one said it's going to be. And no one said, hey, we're also going to play so-and-so and win by 50. I'm not sure if that helps more or less. That's to be debated. My point is, do not go after these young men for what they're doing, what they're accomplishing.
Right.
Has it gone the way they wanted it to go? Not exactly. Are they playing the best high school schedule ever put together?
Yes.
They are.
We'll
and right now, they're healthy. They're if they come through it mentally, as 15 to 18-year-old kids can, and sometimes they have to work on this as part of becoming a team. They got the number 1 team in the country coming up on Friday night on ESPN at Catholic University.
It doesn't stop.
So people are upset a little bit about the win-loss record. But listen, if the goal is one thing, to win the WCAC, that goal has not been removed. These kids have had tremendous experiences going on the road to Duncanville, on the road to New Jersey to play a team from Philadelphia. The bonding that happens in those situations, unless you've been on that bus, in that hotel room, or on that team, I don't want to hear about, I don't think they should play this. Knock it off. Talk to the kids that come there for that reason. That is a big, huge deal. I know, but it's been prevalent,
opinions.
and I just wanted to sit and have my
opinion
to say, listen, you obviously don't want to compete against the best. You never did if you're the one out there typing all this stuff on social media. You weren't on the bus, you weren't in the hotel room, and you weren't on that road trip. That means so much more than you can possibly imagine to someone who's never been through it.
Yep.
So pipe it down a little bit, let these kids play their game, and let me tell you one thing. When you're watching Friday night, this modern day team has a quarterback named Bryce Young, who 2 days ago decommitted from USC and committed to Nick Saban in Alabama. He is one of the most electric high school football players I've ever seen, guys. This guy is the real deal. 14 touchdown passes in the first 3 games. Goes up against St. Francis the next week and has 4 touchdowns rushing. He's 5'11", 185 pounds of just absolute highlight reel. I think there's tape running through his veins because he's made for this, and he's a class act guy off the field too. This is someone we're going to see a lot of for the next 5 years.
They're going to be up against it on Friday night. There's no doubt about it.
I think it's the best team in the country they're playing on Friday night.
But at the same time, people can have their opinions. What's going to be funny is I still think, despite the record that St. John's has, they're hands down the number 1 favorite going into the WCAC, in my opinion.
Yeah.
On paper.
I'm not going to say hands down.
No. I'm just saying, on paper, what I've seen, okay, this team is extremely good.
Yep.
Just because they haven't beaten these top 10 teams doesn't mean anything when it comes to the WCAC. Iron sharpens iron. These guys, even though their record may not say it, they're good. They're very, very good.
They belong in these games.
Toughest. And you know what? My hat's off to them. My hat's off to Brian Griffin and Coach Kaz and these kids for taking on that schedule and not apologizing for it, especially now, given how many games they've lost. My hat's off to you guys.
Yeah.
All right? We're behind you because we're about the league. We didn't say that these teams, any of these teams, are going to go out and beat everybody, right? I think we made the point that, other teams are going to be better. But as a league, these teams, DeMatha, Gonzaga, Good Counsel, they're all going out playing national schedules and getting better, and it's going to be it's setting up for one hell of a WCAC.
Well, let's talk about
regular
Gonzaga.
season.
They played this past week. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about them. in 2019, when the whole world just seems to be covering every kid's sport, no matter what it is, there's not a whole lot out there on Gonzaga's win last week, other than for us to look at Gonzaga as being the 9th team, to get a win. 9 out of 10 WCAC teams, getting a win. That offensive line pushing people around again. I mean, that's what happened, and then 4 quarters went by and one team was beaten up and one team probably could have played another 4, and that's what happened again. And
it did, and I know this. Gonzaga right now deserves to be the main bully on the block, the king on the hill. They've earned it, and they're on that spot, and they haven't let it down. And from what I understand, the guy wearing the crown hasn't gone anywhere. And he'll be around for another year after this. And when you got that guy back there behind a Power 5, 4 out of 5 guys going Power 5 on that O-line, pushing people around, it's such a well-oiled machine. And right now, they are sitting at top. They have the target on their chest. And I know we're talking about this. St. John's absolutely has the ability. DeMatha absolutely has the ability.
Yes,
Gonzaga, good counsel. Right now, I mean, it's drawing straws. And I cannot wait to see how it unfolds. But Gonzaga goes out and just dominates an Avalon school. There's just not too much to talk about here. 47 to 8. Yeah. And listen, same thing. You tip the hat to an Avalon and say, you want to get some good teams on your schedule. You want to play a DeMatha and a Gonzaga in back-to-back weeks. God bless you. It's going to make you better for the rest of your season. But, when the bully on the block calls you out and you don't show up, everyone knows about it.
Yep.
When there's 8 bullies on the block and you come out for all 8, people aren't going to forget about it. And that's what we do in this conference. And I respect the teams that check in and want to play the teams from this league, because the problem with scheduling, and one of the reasons why a lot of these teams have to play more national teams, there is not a lot of teams around here that want to play a good council, DeMatha, Gonzaga, or St. John's. There just isn't. It's just the nature of the beast. So when a team like Avalon steps up and says, I do want to play Gonzaga, I do want to play DeMatha, good for you, man. Good for you, because you know what the point spread is going to be coming in. There's no false hopes.
Spinner's there, right?
And and listen, you go up against Caleb Williams and that crew, and you're going to come out a lot better.
Coach
and you're
Spinner
not going
knows
to
how to
see
do it.
better football than you saw that night.
It's going to make
the
you
rest
better.
of your season.
And that's
Hat
I think that's why Spinner does those games.
Ireton, O'Connell, Paul VI, Riken, and Carroll, I guess.
Let me read them out real quick. Yeah. W, St. Mary's Riken taking down East Ridge, Florida in a national state versus state game, 51-20. Yep. The Carroll Lions moved to 4-1, trying to restore that roar. I think it's working so well with their 38-0 victory over Ballou.
Big matchup with McNamara next week.
It's homecoming at McNamara, Ken.
No, well,
is that Carroll? Homecoming at Carroll. Okay, I saw homecoming.
Yeah,
and I knew you would know, and I also knew you would have just a fresh, just skinny suit ready to rock and roll, because you're just so.
We'll be at McNamara's homecoming, all of us live.
The only suit I've ever seen him in is a velour suit. So
well, and that was fresh.
It's as fresh as it comes.
It's fresh. Hey, and Carroll's feeling super fresh over there at 4-1. You got to root for those guys. They've gone through it these last couple of years. Rob Harris, our guy, man. Just good for you, Rob. Keep it rolling. Good luck next week, but we're not wishing you good luck against McNamara. We're wishing both of you good luck. That's right. Another interleague clash, a historical clash that we've witnessed over the years. That was as good as it could possibly be at one point in time. Paul VI getting on the board against Sidwell Friends from D.C., 35-7, moving their record to 2-2. The Fighting Knights from O'Connell. You got me saying fighting. The O'Connell Knights, and Kenny Lucas gets his first win as the head coach at O'Connell.
Congratulations,
awesome
Coach.
job, Coach.
We all know how that feels. Nothing better than winning a football game on a Saturday, but your first one is unforgettable. A class act guy and our buddy Clark over there on staff. Shout out to those guys. 49-10 over St. John Paul the Great. And man, did Ireton go behind the woodshed with Old Park View for a 49-0 contest. At 3-1, Ireton is making a push to be a factor in the division this year. We'll see what goes down.
I think that whole division's getting a little bit better. I've heard from a bunch of people that's seen St. Mary's Riken play. I've heard from people seen Carroll play and Ireton play, and just say that they're all doing really well themselves, and they're setting themselves up for a great league play in a couple of weeks.
We will be back next Tuesday night. We're back to our regularly scheduled day and time, covering the greatest high school sports conference in the land. If you're also simulcasting the Redskins game, exactly what no one wanted to see happen just happened. But that's all right.
We were having such a fun show.
We'll turn it around. Come back and hang out with us for the Audible here in a few minutes. We'll be doing it live while the game's on. He's Tim Strachan.
Appreciate it. To all you kids out there, keep your heads up, stay grounded, be rounded.
He's Kevin Ricka.
Hey, good luck to the St. John's Cadets going up against the #1 team in the country, and all the rest of the teams next week. It'll be nice to see another 9-1 record. That was pretty big time. That says a lot from top to bottom of what we have to offer. Till next week, be a good sport.
I'm Ken Marangolo, and this was the WCAC Spectacular. I gotta get be a good sport, stay grounded.
You feel left out?
I don't have anything.
We can work on it. We'll have a
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.